Hello and welcome to Food Rebels. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings. As you know, we are dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world. We want to hear from the people who are challenging the status quo, who are doing things a little bit differently. And have we got a show for you guys? You know me, I'm the show host every week. I am the taste expert, food writer, great taste judge. I'm a business owner and I've worked in food for years and years. And I've got producer Georgie, back by popular demand.
Hello.
Who's joining me in the co-hosting capacity today. On the show today, we've got some really cool guests. We've got eco-chef, presenter, lecturer and forager Justin Horne. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And we've also got Piers Milburn, who is the founder of Pythouse Kitchen Garden Restaurant in Wiltshire and Sprigster Drinks. Welcome.
Hello there, thanks for having me.
Justin, you're best known for your work as an eco-chef, and you take waste food really seriously. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
About 7 or 8 years ago now, I opened a zero-waste plant-based restaurant called Tiny Leaf in London's Notting Hill. It started as a pop-up, went really well. We ended up being fully booked every night. And on the back of that, I got to work with some great brands and startups. We launched a lot of them inside the restaurant, as such like Rubies in the Rubble. We did partnerships with Olio, Too Good To Go, those sort of brands, and Snacked. And they were dropped off samples to us. We did launches and activations with us. And then through that, I got to work with the United Nations on United Nations SDGs, and we launched the Chef's Manifesto shortly after that. So yeah, I've been also working in that space for the last 8 years and launching restaurants and helping food brands and doing my own food brand that I've got here with me today for you to taste.
The aroma in the studio is absolutely delicious. There's kind of fermented notes, pickle and lime, and it smells incredible. It's making my mouth water. That's really exciting. Can you tell me a little bit about your background as well, Piers?
Absolutely. So 7 years ago, my wife and I stumbled upon a magical walled garden in Wiltshire, and we set about creating a company called Sprigster, which celebrates all things nature through vibrant experiences, whether that's food, drinks, glamping, weddings, and all sorts. And we built a restaurant within the garden, which has an ethos around sustainability, and we're driven daily to use whatever we can grow in the garden until we run out, and then we look to like-minded suppliers in the area to bolster our supplies. So a sustainable restaurant with an ethos around zero waste. So really keen to talk to Justin more about that and get to know you a bit.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah, so that's us.
That's really cool. So Justin, what made you want to work in food waste in the first place?
I was actually doing an event in the middle of the desert in Burning Man Festival.
Oh, cool.
Designing.
Is that as fun as it looks on social media?
It was incredible. I was there. It was in 2000.
Did you do the posing and the like?
No, I was actually there. I was there as a guest chef for
Wicked.
this concept hotel they had in the desert. It was actually for Banksy's Dismal Land. We were creating this conceptual hotel, but I saw 70,000 people in the desert without, being.
Yeah, you've seen the same channel on social media as I have.
I've been there. It is crazy.
With being conscious for their actions. I picked the label off a bottle of beer as I was talking to them my first day and sort of just flicked it as I was just talking, and then everyone looked at me and looked in the dust and said, you're not going to pick that up? And I was like, so I sort of, wow. And I realised everyone was really conscious about leaving no waste, no trace. And that sort of fed into the food project I was working on. And I came back and I thought, that collectively we can make a difference. And that sort of led me to want to open a restaurant that leaves no waste. I did some research into it, found a venue, and I built it over Christmas actually, Christmas 2015. And we got the keys on the 7th of January and opened on the 19th of January.
Wow, that is quick.
I had a team, I worked in production design before, so I had a team of set builder friends of mine. Just worked day and night for 2 weeks and took it all out, rebuilt living walls behind the bars that all the bartenders and the chefs could use. Yeah, and we had such attraction with it. People were just turning up with van loads of food.
Like waste food?
No, not even some of that, but sometimes surplus. We had Abel and Cole just started delivering us food. We had so much of it. I was like, guys, we have to slow down. We can't manage. And we had a nice bartering system on Port, because we're near Portobello Road. So because we get a lot of too many things that we couldn't use, and there was an organic farm mushroom shop actually where I get some of my mushrooms from. He got some from the same supplier as us, so we'd take like little trolleys down to him, then we'd barter with him and bring stuff back to the restaurant. It was a lot of fun, like working in the community as well.
I think it's incredible, isn't it? We did a project with Fair Share and a couple of other brands around here locally. And what was really fascinating was I didn't realise how cyclical the whole thing is, because you might have a supermarket give FareShare a ton of chickpeas or something, and actually there's only so many jars of chickpeas you can put into a care package for a family. There's only so many things you could do with
There's so much hummus you can eat.
And there's only so
Make
much
cocktails.
equipment that you might have at home if you're in a situation where you're getting support like that. And actually having local chefs come and then pick up the chickpeas and turning it into ready meals and curries and hummuses and things that you can actually just eat straight out of the, straight out of the packaging.
Don't chuck the water away, because that's great for
Cocktail.
making cocktails. It's a good replacement. It's a vegan substitute for egg white in a cocktail.
Aquafaba, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Also meringues as well. Actually works. I've used it in chocolate mousse. I gave it to this pastry chef once at this event we were doing. He couldn't believe actually the protein and carbohydrate bonds in it actually seem to bond. The bubbles are bigger than eggs themselves. And
Super
it's a
fluffy.
waste product. We end up with loads of waste chickpeas at the end of it. The waste for the
I love it. It's flipped around. The chickpeas and other waste. Yeah.
There's some great brands and companies doing the other end of that as well for in commerce. As I said, like Too Good To Go or Olio have a catering company as well, which I can talk about in a minute. That I've actually embedded it into the design of working with events, that you have to think, especially on the bigger events, when you're doing hundreds of people. And I said, look, we have to plan what's going to happen to this food at the end of this, because I'm not throwing it away. We've spent a lot of time, curation, our supply chain of amazing suppliers, and all this organic food. We had handmade bagels with hand-smoked salmon on them, but we got all the sustainable packaging beforehand and planned it, and then ordered it and ordered the team to come at the end of the day. And they distributed it through nursing homes and food charities. And I kept getting emails for like about a week after going, they said, thank you so much for this food. It's incredible that you've redistributed it.
That makes me so happy you did that. I mean, I worked in the events industry for a long time, and the amount of food waste is sickening. It is so just platters and platters that
Were
are
they
thrown
doing
away.
anything with it at all?
No.
Or no? Yeah.
No, and it's really, really horrible to watch. And you think, gosh, look how many people that could feed. And the problem is also, health and safety wise, it's been left out for a certain number of hours. You can't now, there wasn't anything that you could then do it afterwards, unless you're doing serious planning like you are, to make sure that it is still in an okay condition to then pass on to somebody else. But I used to bring Tupperwares with me at the end, fill up for but there's only so much I needed myself. But, it is really horrible to watch.
I think it comes back to respect. You mentioned this on your podcast. I listened to a couple of the pie guys. Talk about respect for ingredients, that people don't value and respect food anymore. Also because some of it's so cheap that people they didn't put value on it because it didn't cost them anything, especially in the home. And but then if the education I think comes into that, and the question is why it's so cheap. Well, people say why is it so expensive? And I think they're asking the wrong question. You have to sort of look at why it's so cheap and what corners are being cut in the supply chain for you to be able to get that piece of chicken for a couple of
Yeah.
Chicken's a funny one.
What's the welfare on that chicken for it to cost?
Yeah, and people are generally
Good.
extremely surprised at Pythouse in the restaurant there when we serve a chicken which is on the menu at the same price as a good steak, really, and that's purely because of the quality of the bird. This is pasture raised chicken, does not come cheap, but it's surprising the reaction you get from people who are genuinely surprised to see chicken on the menu at that price, when in fact that's the price good chicken should be.
I was quite surprised. I spent the year before last in Ibiza working a lot with the farmers. We had a farm-to-table restaurant there where we extended our garden, so 4 of our dishes came straight out of the garden. And everything else came from the island apart from our Galician beef and one of the other ingredients. But the chicken there, they have this little chicken farm that I was surprised when I heard how much their chickens cost, because they're so high welfare. They're costing us 4 times the price of even our good free-range chicken. But then when you tasted them, we were like, oh my God, these are incredible. But translating that onto the menu, you've got to kind of then be clever, and rather than serve, you've got to strip it down some parts, make it a few more different.
And it's got to come with dialogue. You've got to actually make sure that the person serving the chicken at the table explains exactly what people are getting, make sure people are completely up to speed with how, the effort and the work and the different processes involved in producing a wonderful piece of food like that. You mentioned Galician beef. That's a good one. My brother has a restaurant called Kitty Fisher's, and he brought over some wonderful Galician beef, which was on the menu as a
What is Galician beef?
It's a breed from northern Spain. And very often, I think it was in northern Spain that they first started doing that sort of ex-dairy beef, which...
so this is a cow that's been used for milk and cheese and production like that.
Exactly.
And then you eat it at the end. Do we not normally do that?
No. Beef is certainly not aged in that way. What's with the Ex-dairy beef, they typically spend, I think it's 8 years on the pasture producing milk, and then a further 10 months or something just fattening up, and then they meet their maker. And it is a delicious cut of beef, gamey and wonderful. But again, a good deal more expensive, really. A little bit chewy, some people might think, but yeah, it certainly goes down.
Good aging helps with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we built an aging fridge in the restaurant, which was amazing. Well, we had to sanitize everything because if you're leaving it closed, it held between 1 and 3 degrees and 75 and 95% humidity. We were aging stuff up to 6 months. Yeah, you don't want any other bacteria being in there. With that sitting in there.
But it's quite widespread now. I mean, you see there are lots of producers near us of ex-dairy beef now. So that's really good to see. Something that's spreading from Europe throughout our...
Would they have normally been killed and just...
Yeah, well,
that would be in the end of it?
Exactly.
Would they not mince them or anything into like dog food? Or
I think there are various things.
Seems a waste, the whole waste of an animal
Yeah.
for a farmer not to use it to.
I don't know the ins and outs, but I know that presumably a lot goes to waste because you can effectively get rid of an entire beast.
God, it's horrifying to think about, isn't it?
It
But
certainly
great
is.
that people are actually doing stuff about this. Can we try some of this? You talked about you're a forager.
Yes, I grew up in the countryside, and I've got more and more. I don't know, going back to my childhood, running around just eating berries from the woods and just like all the different wild things we have surrounding us. And I've got more into it as becoming a chef over the last 15 years. I was always fascinated in it, and then I really started foraging about 15 years ago. Went out with some foragers. I've got a lot of friends who are foragers, and the more you learn about it, every time you go with someone, you learn something new. And yeah, I think the wild food we have that surrounds in England, we've got even throughout the whole year. Even now, at the moment, there's loads of even green salad forage you can get.
Yeah.
Jack by the hedge. You've got ground ivy.
You can eat ground ivy?
Well, it's different to ivy. It's not the ivy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's why it's called ground ivy.
Phew, I just took a load out of my garden.
No, it's a kidney-shaped, a perennial plant.
Wild garlic's coming up.
Yes, wild garlic will be coming up.
Started
And yes, I've
having-
been mushrooms. I've been getting a lot of medicinal mushrooms throughout the winter. I lived by Hyde Park, and there were some trees there that are covered in oyster mushrooms,
No,
or
you're
miyatake,
joking.
which are also medicinal and edible at the same time.
Tell me about mushrooms, because I just seem to see them everywhere at the moment. There's like mushroom tea, microdosing, and what does this all mean?
Yeah, it's so good for you. As I was saying to you earlier, I've made a tincture, use ultrasonic extraction to extract out all the terpenols and the beta-glucans and all the different active compounds in it of turkey tail, birch polypore, chaga. And chaga grows in sort of Arctic areas where, I mean, we have it in the UK, it's in Scotland and goes down to around, they have found it in Yorkshire. But on dead birch trees, you get birch polypore, which is a bracket fungus that they have very similar properties, so we can actually utilise that. They even found the Iceman, Otzi, I think his name was, in the Alps about 6,000 years ago. He had someone a chain around his neck.
Had he been
Really?
foraging?
No.
He had been foraging there. He had some birch
Can we
polypore.
taste it?
And then he had a parasite inside his stomach as well, and it's anti-parasitic. It's amazing how our ancestral wisdom has been lost and then refound again with modern technology and science. And yeah, I mean, it's quite hard to obviously pass things down in the pre-Columbian in South America and all over India. Yeah, across the world, all our thousands of years of wisdom in the plant world. There's 300,000 edible plants in the world, and we eat usually about 12 of them. So all that superfood, like nettles, is an incredible superfood. A portion of nettles has more nutrients and vitamin and calcium than you would. Like you have to eat a whole bucket of spinach to get the same amount from
That's insane.
And
wild food.
dandelions as well, aren't they? The dandelion leaves are meant to be amazing for you as well.
So that's my second dose today. Am I going to be okay?
You'll be super alert.
We've all just sprayed this thing in our mouths. What's in this?
So this is a medicinal tincture. This is made from fresh birch polypore, dried birch polypore, chaga, lion's mane, turkey tail, and cordyceps it has in it. I used ultrasonic extraction into vodka, 40% vodka. I don't want to use a high one. You can use more, the sort of 90% pure one, the ethanol you use in chemistry, but then you have to add more water. But the more water you add, then you're going to dilute your solution
Right.
of...
And what's going to happen to us? What now we've
You're going
taken
to start
this?
seeing colours in a moment.
Excellent. Stand by as we all start tripping.
No, it actually just makes has anti-carcinogenic properties. It has been shown to prevent cancer, gives you focus, clarity, better moods, helps with anxiety, gut digestion. I mean, all of those mushrooms have so many different properties in it. You've sort of, it's under all-encompassing, and especially for this time of year as well, for your boosting immunity.
Is this something you sell online?
Not yet. I will
Not yet.
do. I mean, I only made this like last week, but I've had like 6 people want to buy it because they've tried it.
Yeah, I want to buy some now.
They really want some in their
I
life.
want all the stuff you just said. I want,
But
you
yeah,
know,
so a lot of
zero
people
chance.
they'll boil it to get that, but using ultrasonic cavitation, you can actually extract it at high
I
frequency.
don't even know what that is. What is ultrasonic?
You can get a machine that does that. You've probably seen those jewellery cleaners where you put the thing, turn
Oh,
it on,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it vibrates.
Yeah.
It's a similar kind of
That's
It's the
awesome.
same technology, but for breaking the chitin and the cell walls down in
Oh,
mushrooms
I
to
see. Okay.
extract out
So
all
what does the mushroom goes in looking healthy and whole, and then after that process, what does it look like?
Well, no, so I actually grind it up first. I've had to learn with birch polypore, they look like they're about this big, just the size of a plate. And if you don't cut them when they're still moist, they're known as razor strop because they used to use them to sharpen knives on because they're that hard that you can actually very hard to cut with a knife. So I've learned to cut them up before, and then I grind them all up in a big high-powered blender, and then you extract it.
Wow.
And then then you can dry it again. There's a mycologist saying that we should be using the marc. It's called MARC. It's a guy's name, French guy's name. The wet mushroom pulp that comes out of it.
Right.
So you can dry it and grind it, and then you can put that back into your food chain somehow. Slightly bitter as you taste on this. There is a bitter notes to it, but you can disguise that with.
I definitely could take that every day. Is it every day you think you
Yeah.
should take? Yeah, amazing.
It's really improved my focus. I've gone through all my to-do lists, as I was saying earlier,
Awesome.
in like 4 days. My missus is like, who's this new guy name? It makes me a lot happy. I mean, I have been sort of, I guess, the weather and whatnot.
Brilliant. Sign me up.
Yeah, definitely. Please.
Sounds amazing.
I'll make sure to send you guys some. But yeah, well,
Definitely
we'll
like
sell it on my website, on Sativa Food Studio.
And you brought out some other things. in for us,
What's your
didn't you?
website?
Sativa, Sativa, foodstudio.com.
Cool. Yeah, sorry, other things.
Yeah, other things you brought in.
Yes, we have a hot apple chutney and a lime pickle, which is.
What do you suggest we try?
Yeah, you want to pass that around. So this lime pickle was actually made from the spent limes from cocktail production,
you.
my last restaurant. So we have loads of limes that get juiced, but then we sort of ferment them and then turn it into a lime pickle.
Love that idea. What an amazing cycle that you would.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Wow, it's very.
Really?
That lime, all that, the limonene and all the
Wow.
the lime oils.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That's a really good version of what you get in Indian restaurants served with poppadoms.
I love the way the citrus lime notes go straight up into your nose and into your olfactory. It's
Very
really beautiful.
Yeah, and I made that last year. So that's all that flavour stay through it.
Absolutely.
But the lime is not tough.
No.
So the
No.
lime pickle you can get in the Indian
quite
restaurant is
tough,
tough,
yeah.
isn't it? And
Yeah.
you have to really chew it. That was just.
Oh, yeah, I saw
melted.
two of you had like a bit of lime on
Yeah,
there. So.
I had a massive bit of
I got
lime
a
in
huge
it.
chunk.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, that comes through the fermentation. So yeah, another
So it breaks it down slightly.
great way to use waste. You can just add salt to it. I have an alkaline water system in my house, which from this wonderful company. I have 3 taps. I even have a sparkling one. Well, I had a little bottle underneath which came with the system, but that went in about 2 weeks. And now I've got an account with BOC, and I've got this massive CO2 canister under my sink to make like San Pellegrino-esque.
Wicked.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I use that water to make this. I use that water in actually all my products in this as well.
Can we try the apple chutney?
So yeah, these apples come from Joe Wood's farm up in Northampton. So I used actually the kind of like they call it apple scrap, but it did have lots of apple trim in it as well to make an apple cider vinegar. Another sort of circular dish. So those apples made apple cider vinegar, apple chutney, and then the apple cider vinegar goes into another one I made with the mustard and my olive oil. So I have an olive oil as well. So I was just using all my products together to make.
I love that. I love
So there's
how-
no waste in
Yeah.
the
The
supply chain.
depth of flavour
This
in
is
this
delicious.
is absolutely delicious. I was not actually expecting to like that. It's not really something that I would naturally grab, but now I know that tastes like that. There's like toffee and
good,
but it's
isn't it?
not overly sweet. Like it's beautiful.
Stop it, get out of here.
How long does
Has
it
that-
take you to come up with a recipe like that?
That was actually, I asked my grandmother, so it's influenced on what my grandmother made. Sort of tweaked from that. So it has a couple of, the lime pickles are some more Indian, slightly more Indian, but has some other space. Yeah, I mean, that was the first attempt actually, that was my sample one.
Really good.
That is so good.
It's so good.
And then there's the honey as well. So this honey, I have the honey I get from my friend, I get my olive oil from in northern Spain, in Rasquera. There's that farm, and then there's this one. This is from the Saxon village of Tamworth. So this is a wildflower honey from this wonderful guy. This is slightly crystallized.
Wow.
But this has lots of different. This has lime in it, rosemary. It's got about 4 or 5 different floral notes in it.
It is so floral.
Really floral, isn't it?
No, you have to be careful sometimes what you use them with because it can overpower.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you put them, I have in my tea and coffee sometimes, and I've got to be careful which one I put in that because it just. But yeah, this one works quite well. That's really good for desserts. I've got a new ice cream maker. Making honey ice cream is one of my
Ooh,
favourite
delicious.
things.
Honey ice cream.
You get this lovely sheen on it as well. It's like a lovely glaze around the ice cream. I guess because you're using a different sugar in the fructose. I mean, I'm not sure which sugars are in honey, but
Absolutely beautiful. Piers, I'd really like to try this beautiful spirit you brought in.
Well, I think this might go really nicely with Justin's chutneys, actually.
let's do a collaboration.
So which one are we going to start with? Because
well,
you've got a
let's start-
sparkling and you've got
yeah.
a kind of spirit alternative.
So our drinks range came about through doing lots of research into what went well together. So we went out into our garden and we started making drinks from homegrown ingredients for our guests in the restaurant. Sprigster, in its first incarnation, is a mixture of hops, rhubarb, ginger, fennel, and apple.
Hops.
Hops,
Oh,
which
that's
grow against
nice.
the south-facing wall in the garden.
the flavour
So the
of
hops,
hops.
yeah, hops gives you a really good bittering and effect and a dryness to the drink, which balances really well with the sweetness of the apple. And then you've got the tart gooseberries and rhubarb.
It's delicious.
And the fennel seeds just for a little bit of anise, actually. So it just provides a nice little bit of warming spice.
And would you drink that neat?
Yes, you can. You can drink it neat. Typically, you'd mix it with your favourite mixer. So it's a very diverse drink or a very flexible drink. So it's really good on its own as a digestif, really good with a simple mixer over ice with a slice. Or, if you're a creative type and you love making cocktails, you can really get busy with Sprigster as a kind of key ingredient in alcoholic or non-alcoholic cocktails. Yeah, I should say it's completely non-alcoholic, but it does have a kind of grown-up, sophisticated, boozy mouthfeel to it.
It's
really
got that
does.
acidicness to it that I really like.
So
I think
good.
that's the apple cider vinegar,
it's
isn't
like,
it?
it's almost like a
warmth.
Yeah.
of the side vinegar.
Like when you get that alcohol burn a little bit, but it gives you that warmth, that
Exactly.
really full-bodied
Yeah,
mouthfeel.
The cider vinegar is in there for the astringency, really. So to give it, and also 2024, it's definitely the year for drinks with health benefits, and people are looking more and more not just to cut down on drinking, but actually to make a positive move towards drinking healthier drinks.
So has that got sugar in it?
There's no added sugar.
No added sugar at all.
No added sugar.
How has it got
whatsoever.
that sweetness to it?
From the apples?
Really?
So yeah, we have an orchard at the bottom of the garden. We grow probably enough apples at the moment for about 12,000 litres of apple juice, which we make an apple reduction from. So we bubble that down, and you get a really lovely sweet toffee-like syrup.
Yeah.
And that's how we sweeten the drink. So it does have sugars in it, but it doesn't have added sugar, and that's the important thing. And so, yeah, the drink is 100% natural. We're really incredibly proud of that. A lot of drinks on the market are full of sugar and nasties and preservatives. Our drink contains nothing but whole fruit and botanicals.
And how long does it last? What's its shelf life?
So opened, if you keep it in the fridge, it can last 3 months.
Wow.
Unopened, we've got a year, even without the preservatives.
That is such a beautiful alternative, isn't
it's
it?
really nice. Really nice.
Really
I
good.
like that.
Much more complex and interesting with a much longer finish and a better mouthfeel than a lot of the kind of non-alcoholic spirits that are on the market that are a bit sad.
It's,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to hear. It's certainly gone down a treat in the restaurant. And then from this first incarnation of Sprigster, we then developed a sparkling version, which is our garden brut. So
Is this the one you've put in a champagne
yeah,
glass? Here?
Exactly.
Beautiful.
So just slightly cloudy. Both drinks are, in fact, because they're unfiltered. So we leave them. We skip the filtration process just to ensure that we keep maximum flavour.
And this has got 2 stars at Great Taste, and you've just
Indeed, yeah.
won. Is it an award at the?
The inaugural World Alcohol Free Awards. It took place about a year ago. I think they're just accepting entries for the second year now. So we entered our sparkling, sat back, and we had that sort of long wait, and then eventually, the news came through, and we were delighted. Awards are fantastic. They really. It just sort of keeps you confident that you're on the right track, and it's great to get that sort of expert reaction.
I mean, this is so lovely.
I must say, I do drink a lot of these. My partner doesn't drink, and she is going to love this. I mean, we've had so many of the non-alcoholic spirits I've tried, and they just fall so short. This is hands down like the best non-alcoholic.
It's the length, right? Isn't
so
it?
good,
You
but
need
it's-
the length and the complexity. Otherwise, you just glug it like an apple
That's
juice.
what I was just thinking.
And you think, this doesn't
Yeah.
really feel grown up. Whereas this, you're sipping this because there's a lot going on, and you don't immediately rush to get the next sip. Not because it's not delicious, but You're actually
savouring
savouring it and
Yeah.
enjoying all the different things going on.
It's not like a thirst quencher. It's not like an apple juice that you pick up and you just down. That you want to save that. And this
It does feel special, and
It does.
It's sort of you would open this. You can open this with friends. You can have it with food. It's designed for savouring a moment, whatever moment that might be. It might be a moment alone. You might be on a family picnic. It's a very sort of flexible, diverse drink. Yeah.
It also tastes grown up.
It's because it's dry, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't taste like a juice.
For me, it's the hops that bring
That
that
blend
sort
that,
of
yeah.
that lovely
Sort of
bitterness.
tannic
And actually, when
quality.
you pour it, the texture of it, it's a bit like you've got a sort of Somerset dry cider vibe. You've got it actually looks a bit like a beer. You've got a head on it which is quite thick. It's quite a sort of dense head. And so it's and as you can see on your glass, you've got the sort of remnants of the foam on the glass there. So it does feel, it's got the sort of the texture of a beer and the sort of bitterness of an ale. And there's lots going on.
And again, the vinegar notes. And is it the ginger or something? There's a warmth
Ginger,
in
yeah.
there.
Yeah, a lot of people are quite surprised to hear that we've included ginger in there. There's and actually with the spirit, I use spirit in the sort of the category sense. That's where we would sit on the back bar in a hotel. We would be amongst the spirits. It's not the spirit. There's no distillation process at all. It's an infusion rather than a distillation. But yeah, the ginger's more prominent in the spirit because that's in effect a much stronger version of the garden brut.
I can really imagine after supper, husband pours a whiskey. I'd have one of these instead, and actually really sip it like you would.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of the journey because you'd do that and then you'd realise actually I'm going to try this with some grapefruit soda or whatever it might be,
yeah.
and it's the tip of the iceberg, and we're finding that people are just having so much fun with it because of the myriad of ideas.
And where can you buy it?
So we are currently stocked with independents largely, Dalesford, who've been great advocates of Sprigster since day one really. Peacham Nurseries, we're with The Pig, ongoing conversations with Soho House. We've just been stocked by Threshers online. We've got conversations with, some bigger grocery stores. It's sort of a watch this space at the moment.
Exciting.
But the best place for you to come and experience Sprigster is, of course, at the restaurant,
Yeah.
which is in southwest Wiltshire.
Yeah, whereabouts in Wiltshire is it?
So it's a little town called Tisbury.
Tisbury.
Which is close to Shaftesbury. But yeah, we're a good 3.5 hours from here. Stonehenge would be a good landmark in between Glastonbury and Stonehenge. And yeah, so we've got the 3 acres down there. Fantastic menu. Head chef Darren Broom, who's just been an absolute star and has been an amazing advocate of our ethos and has just actually brought the whole thing to life through incredible food and great menus. Justin, you must come and meet.
Oh, definitely.
Darren.
I'm coming down.
He's a like-minded
I'll
soul.
give you a lift home after this.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So that's great. So that's the Pythouse Kitchen
yeah.
Garden Restaurant.
Exactly.
And what's your website?
www.pythousekitchengarden.co.uk. That's the restaurant, or sprigsterdrinks.com.
And
Yeah.
people can buy on your
They
website,
can
I guess,
indeed.
for the drinks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And come down to Wiltshire and actually sample it in
Yeah,
person.
we'd love that for sure.
Fantastic. Sadly, we've come to the end of the show, but thank you so much for coming in. Thank you to Justin Horne, our forager, and thank you very much to Piers Milburn.
Not at all.
It's
Thank you
really
so
great
much.
to have
Thank
you guys
you.
on
Thanks
the
for
show.
having us.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you to Georgie, producer Georgie.
I've got my
who
mouth
is
full with more lime pickle.
eating lime pickle, just merrily in the corner here. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us 5 stars. Makes a huge difference. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. Thanks for joining. Make sure you taste the rebellion.